What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? And this is going to be quite interesting because, okay, so I made a critique video on another YouTubers about, like what the Soul Reaver and Soul Reaver 2 remastered announcement trailer not too long ago. And I will say one thing. I did not intend for that video to get such high viewership. A lot of people are giving me some really good positive feedback, and there are some negative feedback as well. But what I will say is, I really think when it comes to these remasters, I've mentioned this before in that video as well, or in a previous video, coinciding along with that one. I was talking about basically why I think a remake is not going to work very well. I mean, it could work, but I really just think that it could be more on the lines of if they were to do a remake rather than just doing a full-on remaster, which they did, helmed by Aspire Media that did the previous Lara Croft Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remasters as well. But again, I think doing these remasters for Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2, as I previously mentioned in my previous video as well, that these games are old. They're like 25 years old. And it's astounding of what, these newer modern consoles are able to do, whether if it's on PC or on Xbox or on PlayStation. And I really think, for the most part, I think, honestly, I'm not nitpicking here. I have no reason to nitpick because of the fact that, Replayrs that did that video was nitpicking. And again, with my critique on that video of his, he did come forward and confirm that he is some sort of type of designer. I respect that 100%. But again, I just really think when it comes to, if you really want to go down to the nitty gritty and, really just, digging up the dog of what the original Soul Reaver 1 was able to look like on the PS1, because that's what they were doing with the remastered for Soul Reaver 1 specifically, other than Soul Reaver 2. Because Soul Reaver 2 was a PlayStation 2 exclusive. It was never multi-platform. And so I really think, but here's the thing, like I said again, I'm not complaining about this. It's just a matter of opinion. And so my opinion is, I think going with these remasters is a much better idea. I am. I am, sir. Thank you for tuning in. And so I really think, for the most part, doing these remasters is probably going to be the best way to do it. I mean, yes, I do agree to a certain degree that, if they were to do a full-on fledged remake, it's going to be a lot more tougher for a 25-year-old game. I mean, they were able to do it with, like Silent Hill 2. They were able to do it with Resident Evil 4, which was an old title as well. But other than that, I still think that, Resident Evil 2 remake and the Resident Evil 3 remake and basically the whole entire remakes of what we're able to get for the past few years, they have done them well. That's what's so astounding. But I think if that they were to do a remake on the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver series, whether if it's Soul Reaver 1 or Soul Reaver 2, like I said, they really have to, really dig up the dog on those two games to a certain degree and literally just like bringing it from the ground up and utilize a better engine to utilize the remake at full potential. That is one thing I will say about when it comes to a remake, because I have played several remakes. I mean, they've had, like I said, Resident Evil 2, 3, 4, and the Silent Hill 2 remake that just recently came out as well. So again, I think by doing the remasters for these two games specifically is a much better route. And for what I understand, Aspire Media that did the remaster for Lara Croft Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, and that's a good one. But again, I just think for the most part, doing the remasters for Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, Aspire Media did that project, and they did a really good job for what I understand as well. And so I really think that they might actually do a really good job with the remasters for Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2. And so there's one thing I will say. While I did that critique on that Replayrs video, there were several parts in that video to where I feel like that maybe I was a little too out of line on my critique on that. But at the same time, it's just like, I literally had the cojones to do what I did on that video because initially I'd never been able to do a video like that before. And so again, I just really think, for the most part, I did what I wanted to do with that video. And, you know, I'm not a professional designer. I am not a professional artist. And that's one thing I will say as well. You do not have to be a professional designer, artist, or game developer, or even creator to understand what makes a really good game, either from digging up the dog, from, you know, basically using a game, remaking it from the ground up with a proper engine that's going to be able to utilize the remake with much better fidelity, visual, everything of what makes a really good game. And I think that's where the Silent Hill 2 remake was so successful. Resident Evil 4, 3, and 2, and even the Dead Space remake, because the Dead Space remake was fantastic. I fucking loved that game a lot. And it was great. And that is why I think... Do I know how to talk about? No, I don't. But again, going back to what I was saying, I really think... I just think that it's kind of a silly way of, you know, even if he is a designer, and I'm not saying I don't respect that, I do. But again, I just really think that he did have a lot of balls to discuss of what he thought was the proper way of showing what Rahab is supposed to look like in the remaster, rather than from what the remaster version of him actually looks like in the game as well. Same thing with Melchiah. And like I said, I had my own critique takes on that, and I think he's wrong. Because with that, what I was saying in that video as well is in fact that the case between of what Rahab looks like in the remaster and what Melchiah looks in the remaster, they were supposed to look like that. And that is why I'm saying I'm agreeing to disagree on what he's saying. But again, I'm not nitpicking. I'm not complaining because I really think that these remasters are going to do magnificently well. So give me one moment here. I'm going to see what the comments are. I once farted on my grandma's feet fungus, and my butt fungus traveled to the feet fungus, and the feet fungus started making out with the butt. Okay, I really don't know exactly what you're trying to do here, but again, I am not going to dignify that response because I have learned to take the criticism on my channel as well, with my content as well too. So again, I'm just trying to put myself out there a little bit here, and I wanted to just, you know, really come forward on what I really totally think about this whole entire situation for his total art misfire for the Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2 Remaster. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I really greatly appreciate everything what I've been doing. I appreciate that there have been some negative or positive feedback on my content as well. And like I said again, you guys are just nothing but awesome as well. So, large forehead. It's whatever, dude. So, you guys take care. Thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to get this out there real quick. And you guys, peace.